Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps for the 63rd running of the 24 hours. And this year's race promises to be an absolute epic. There are 62 starters, 12 different brands being represented on the grid. There's a big crowd as well making their way into the circuit. The start just a few minutes away, and this is going to be one heck of a race, that's for sure. A local hero, the Belgian driver Maxime Martin, driving for a Belgian team, Marc VDS Racing on pole position. There he is in the BMW Z4 Coupe. This really is going to be a great race. The entry full of star drivers, star teams and star names, and picking a winner is virtually impossible. Audi has a very strong presence this weekend. Matthias Ekstrom, Timo Scheider and another Belgian driver, Greg Franchi. A potential winning combination, that's for sure. But this has all the ingredients of being a great race. Haley Coxon on the grid and in the pits, David Anderson trackside, and later performing a concert here will be Bob Sinclair, the DJ. He arrives with Koen Wouters. He's also going to be performing and racing during the course of the 24 hours of Spa. Let's go to the grid though.
Maxime, with the size of this grid, this is definitely where you want to be starting here today.
Yeah, it's fantastic for everybody. It's fantastic for the team, for us, to do the pole here in 24 hours Spa. It's amazing. So, but 24 hours is very long, so we will see for the race.
Thank you.
Maxime Martin looking forward to the race, but so too is Stefan Rattel, and it was his idea to make GT3 and GT4 for this year's race.
It is the best one we had in the last 11 years since the return of GT racing at Spa. And we have everything. We have the quantity, we have the quality, we have the diversity, we have the uncertainty. I think it's going, and we have a big crowd. So I think with a success like this, we're going to have even more cars coming, more manufacturers. The McLarens are there, everybody's here, and looking good.
Thank you.
Great enthusiast for GT racing, of course, Stefan Rattel. And he's absolutely right, because there's a huge amount of interest this weekend. There are more manufacturers looking at it, but in terms of what's on track, well, it's just a mouth-watering assortment of supercars with BMW and Porsche on the front of the grid. Two Belgian drivers, Maxime Martin and Marc Goossens. Then you've got, starting in the Autolando Sport Porsche on the second row of the grid, Paolo Roberti. And as the grid makes its way then onto the rolling start, other star names to pick out. Richard Westbrook, for example, Timo Scheider driving number 33 Audi. Matt Griffin is going to be quick in the first stint in the number 50 Ferrari. Marcel Fassler goes first in the number 98 Audi R8 further back on the grid. Now number 4, Fred Makovici has not got to the grid in time. His Aston Martin trapped in the pit lane. He's not the only driver having to start from there, because a former winner of the event, Andrea Bertolini's Ferrari, has not made it out either. What they were trying to do was scrub in another set of tyres by doing an extra lap round onto the grid, but so many people were in the pit lane, they couldn't get through them in time. They missed the pit lane closing, and that means they're going to have to start right at the very back. The plus side of that, though, is that it might just get you out of the trouble, because if you're starting at the back, any incidents on the opening lap of the race are going to be ahead of you. The cars working their way up now through Eau Rouge in the case of the midfield, and the back markers still working their way onto this green flag lap. And a word about qualifying, because it gives a very jumbled order for this race, predominantly because it was held in wet but drying conditions. And those that were out on the circuit on the right tyres right at the very end gave themselves a far better chance of a good grid position. But over 24 hours, some teams will tell you that the grid doesn't matter at all. Those that are on the front row will say that it's very important because they have secured glory for themselves. But certainly it's helped the event, having two Belgian teams and Belgian drivers at the front of the grid. And small wonder that there are a huge number of people here ready for the start of the 63rd running of the Spa 24 hours. Manufacturer variety, Nissan from GT4. Also good to have a couple of Dodge Vipers on the grid, but one car that everybody is keeping an eye for is the McLaren. There are 3 of them on the grid. The new MP4 12C GT3 model. It's a car that's already had a win at Spa, in fact, because the British GT Championship was here earlier on in the month, and McLaren was victorious then. But whether it's going to be able to win in its first 24-hour race in GT3 trim, let's find out. As we're about to go racing, then the safety car peels into the pit lane, and the 24 hours of Spa underway. And it's going to be Marc Goossens that makes the best start in the Porsche look, and he leads as they go through Eau Rouge for the first time. Maxime Martin slots into second place. Peter Cox in the Blancpain sponsored Lamborghini third, and looking now to try to make a move on the BMW as they go uphill for the first time. Different shapes, different sizes, different sounds. A superb entry for this year's Spa 24, but it's the Porsche leading the way. Lamborghini second, and a challenge was being made on the inside up to Lecombe there by another of the Pro Speed Porsches of Ludovic Sunier. You can can see just how crowded it is as they funnel their way through Les Combes for the first time. You're on board with Andrew Kirkcaldy. Now, this is the McLaren, and this is definitely a driver to watch. However, he has one problem looming already, and that is a 5-minute stop-go penalty that has to be taken within the first 3 laps of the race. Why? Because they had to do an engine change after qualifying, and the stewards decided that for doing that, this stop-go penalty was essential, and it's got to be done within the first 3 laps of the race. So straight away, it puts the McLaren team on the back foot. Mark Goossens is getting away, isn't he? Out front, look, building the advantage. It's Peter Kox in second place. Paolo Roberti going great guns in third. Maxime Martin falling away a little bit now, fourth in the BMW that started on pole position. The field filing through, including amongst them there. Look, one of the United Autosports Audis, number 11, the Mark Patterson, Matt Bell, Eddie Cheever, Mark Blundell car. But now you're riding with Richard Westbrook for the Team Manthey squad with the Haribo back Porsche, and Richard Westbrook, one of the real stars of GT racing, particularly in Porsches, and he's going to be a factor, that's for certain, whenever he's behind the wheel of this car. Very bold effort there from Ludovic Sunier to go around the outside of the BMW, but Mark Goossens then, Belgian driver for the Belgian Pro Speed team, owned by Rudy Penders, leads at the end of that one. Peter Kox is second in the Lamborghini, and then running with him in third place, Paolo Roberti in the blue and white Porsche that won the opening race in this year's Blancpain Endurance Series at Monza. This is round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series, but it's worth making the point that you score points at 6 hours and at 12, and then there are double points on offer at the end of the 24. Out of La Source then, plunging downhill, and the race leader, Mark Goossens, is getting away. This is just what the Belgian crowd wanted to see. A home team and a home driver leading the way. Peter Kox, though, now going after him. The Dutchman, who has been very successful around here, himself, in fact, a former winner of the 24 hours, going on now in pursuit of the leading Porsche. Timo Scheider in Audi 33 looking also to try to gain some ground as the cars work their way up towards Les Combes. You're riding with Scheider, dives up on the inside and snatches away a place from Maxime Martin. Evidence of the variety you've got in the race here, and looking to GT4 being headed by Nissan, but BMW versus Lotus. Wolfgang Haug there in the BMW M3 just being able to fend off the Lotus. Big drama there, and that was the race leader, Mark Goossens, heading for the pit lane. He's been up the escape road. Now what's he done? There's been another car involved by the look of it, and that is Ludovic Sunier. That's his teammate. Ludovic Sunier's Porsche has got damage, Mark Goossens has got damage, and it looks as though the two must have made contact somehow coming into the bus stop. The two teammates have driven into each other. Let's have a look. For second place, Sunier goes up the inside, gets past Kox, and just harpoons Mark Goossens, the race leader, totally innocent, and his teammate crashes into the side of him. Well, that's going to take some explaining when they both get back to base. Mark Goossens heading for the pit road, but Sunier with damage, and also, look, with a punctured tyre. This is going to be a very long, very slow in-lap. So the whole complexion of the race changes here in the Spa 24 hours. This third round of the Blancpain Endurance Series. And now Peter Kox in the Lamborghini has got Richard Westbrook right up behind him. Matt Griffin runs fourth at the moment, but the new race leader, having escaped all the carnage down at the bus stop, is Paolo Roberti. Westbrook goes around the outside in the Porsche, up now into second place. Runs out of road though, goes over the curve, over the run-off tarmac at Les Combes. Kox goes back ahead of him, and now Matt Griffin, the Irishman for AF Corsa in the Ferrari 458, goes through as well. Matt Griffin goes third, but straight back on his case is Richard Westbrook, the double Porsche Super Cup champion, looking for a way by. And then you've got Timo Scheider right up behind them as well, now in fifth place. Great racing this. Yellow flags wave at the bus stop because there's debris on the road, and I think there's also a drama going into La Source. Yes, the safety car is being deployed. Now what's gone on around the corner? Let's see. There's Richard Westbrook, and there's a car in the barrier coming out of La Source, and that's the McLaren. That's Andrew Kirkcaldy's car. Now he served the stop-go penalty, and it almost looks like he's crashed in the pit lane, but I can't believe Andrew would make a mistake and crash in the pit lane. He must have, yes he had, he'd rejoined, in fact, looking at his sector times, he had rejoined the lap. So on his first flying lap after the stop-go penalty, something has happened to Andrew Kirkcaldy's McLaren at Eau Rouge. Let's have a look. You can just see in the top left of the screen the car at unabated speed crashes into the barrier, and Wolfgang Haug's BMW M3 creeps round the corner. Just wonder whether the two may have been involved in that. Have a look again. Top left of the screen, Andrew Kirkcaldy crashes into the barrier on the outside of the road, spins across, hits the barrier on the inside. Well, that's the end of the race, absolutely for definite. And we're getting news that it was Wolfgang Haug that tagged him. Matt Griffin leading the way, squeezes past Paolo Roberti in the Porsche, and now as we get towards the end of the first hour of this year's Spa 24 Hours, it's the Irishman for the Italian team, Matt Griffin, who leads the race now. Roberti second, Peter Cox is third. Now Richard Westbrook, while we had that safety car period, has come into the pit lane, tops up with fuel, so he's running a little bit out of sequence, but I reckon that when everybody else comes to their first routine stop, Richard's going to find himself in the lead of the race. Now into the pit road comes Peter Cox, and also coming in behind him, look, is Timo Scheider. But Basang also comes down the pit road in the leading Audi Sport Team Phoenix Audi R8. Peter Cox comes in. And a regulation now in the Blancpain Endurance Series is that you can do no more than 65 minutes on a tank of fuel. That's to try and equate things between the cars that were designed for longer races and those designed for the 60-minute GT3 European Championship rounds. But when there's a safety car period, you are allowed to go 70 minutes. Windscreen being cleared for Timo Scheider, a former winner of the event when he drove with Michael Bartel's Vitaphone racing team with the Maserati MC12 these days. However, Timo back in the DTM and a double DTM champion for Audi. One of the two surviving McLarens comes in the background. Audi number 12 turning its way out of the hairpin at La Source. Alain Lee starting in that car, and that is Nicolas Malmhoff, who's had a huge accident in the Lamborghini Gallardo. That's coming into the pit lane by the look of it. Extraordinary place to end up. He's flattened the Armco barrier. Look to the right of the car there. Safety car's being deployed once again. But Nicolas Malmhoff has had a big accident. He's on his side. He's out of the car helping the marshals right it. Hans Reiter, the team boss, looking equally perplexed about all of this. Let's go and catch up with what's happened.
Hans, can you let us know what happened with Nicky and if he is okay?
Yeah. Seems to be was a bit too aggressive on the pit entry and then put the car on the wall and the car is on the side. It looks like we can ride this car off totally. So it's bad for 24 hours. I do not really know what to say, you know. It's a 24-hour race and we destroy a car in the pit entry. And that's a unique thing, I think.
Well, it is an extraordinary situation, that's for sure. Nicolas Malmhoff crashing into the pit lane. The safety car now is withdrawn, and so the race is about to restart here at Spa. It's been a very lively start to the race. That's our second safety car period, and two big accidents for leading cars, both of which run in the Pro Cup, and that's something else to bear in mind within this race. You've got the Pro Cup situation for all the teams with pro drivers, the Pro-Am Cup, which is numerically the strongest. And Peter Cox, at the end of the safety car period, comes in now to give way to the Blancpain CEO, Mark Hayek, who will clamber on board the car. Other classes, all with their own very keen competitions here. The Gentleman Trophy, the Cup class for the older machinery, and the GT4 competition as well. There's a lot to look for here over 24 hours. Now this is a replay of Christian Menzel having taken over from Richard Westbrook, and now attacking for the race lead, works his way through traffic. He gets past the Ecurie got Aston Martin and past the Audi going up towards Les Combes. Very brave effort that, and Christian Menzel working his way through to the front. Christian, another Porsche specialist,